Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew,
I'm Jared.
I'm AJ.
and we are Liberal White Dudes. Tonight's episode is minimum wage, and we're going to chat a little bit about what that is and current proposals on the table. But first, let's talk a little bit about some news. LA County has lowered their air quality restrictions so that the crematoriums can run more. That is the current state of COVID deaths in LA County. They're just overflowing. We have crossed the 400,000 death mark. Please, everybody who's watching this, please stay home as often as possible. Don't come in contact with other people. Wear your mask. Stay 6 feet apart.
Jesus.
Still in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, seems like the thing that everybody's been saying for months now, but we'll say it again for those in the back.
Yeah, I mean, we're not out of the woods by any means.
No, not even a little.
The crematorium news kind of shook me. I was like, you just think about you're running out of time that you can burn all the bodies that are dying from this. It's nuts. So
yeah, man, that's
just
harrowing.
keeping the show upbeat.
Yeah,
like we like to do.
Yeah.
Of a bummer.
Let's move on to FLOTUS. Current FLOTUS. Tomorrow she will not be FLOTUS, which is nice.
Woo.
She dropped a sort of message out there, video, where she said a bunch of stuff she doesn't believe,
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Most people out there were dragging her for it, which is great. I mean, she was
It's good to see.
Yeah, she was a birther.
Support that, yeah.
She's a supporter of the worst president in the history of ever. And but there were some who were not bots who came in and said, and I wrote this down because I needed to quote this directly. She was the most beautiful, smart, and classy first lady in their lifetime.
Just so beautiful, smart, and classy.
Now,
That's not how I would describe her, but
these are the same people that definitely describe their local Olive Garden as classy. So I kind of get it, but
I would say she's not even Olive Garden classy.
yeah, maybe not.
I mean,
You're right.
just,
right.
WWE classy.
Yeah, maybe. Like, audience
now.
member.
WWE
Yeah, audience member.
WWE audience member classy.
There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Sort of
that's what I
classy.
mean.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's been one of the things of this presidency is just the lack of class. Even just a modicum of class.
What a poor word choice. My God. Class?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
And I mean, one of the people, so, somebody was like, what the hell are you talking about? And they talked about her wearing heels. And I was like, it takes more than that to be classy.
Does it ever? Good God.
Yeah. Just
That means that
being
almost
the wearer
every
of heels.
first lady
Yeah.
was classy. That's what that means. Because if wearing heels is the bottom line, if that's your requirement of them,
I would take literally any first lady in my lifetime over this one as classy.
Yeah.
An argument can be made for every single one of them other than
the only other one that I can remember is Michelle Obama, because that's the presidency
she was
that
awesome
before this one, and she was dope.
Yeah.
So I feel like my comparisons are a little. My comparisons a
I'd be
little.
belated, by the way, to former First Lady Michelle Obama.
Yeah, who's definitely watching this right now.
Yeah, who's right here with us?
So.
Michelle, Miss Obama.
I don't want
throw that out there.
I don't want to compare current FLOTUS and Michelle Obama, just because I feel like even putting them in the same sentence does a disservice to Michelle Obama.
Yeah, true.
But yeah,
Agreed.
I thought that was interesting that there are people out there who not only will say these things but will defend them. That she's smart. There's no evidence of that.
No, there's no evidence of that.
And she's classy. And there's
just be best. Very classy. It's a very classy statement.
So
Just so
glad
much
we're
class.
kicking them out tomorrow. It's nice.
I would just like to say this is kind of I'm enjoying this particular show this is the last day of the Trump administration.
Yep.
So
last show on
kind of a
Trump's
good day
watch.
to be
Good day to be American.
Yeah, good day to be alive. Good day to be alive.
Good day
Last
for
day
all
of the
of
Trump
us.
presidency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're about
on the
15
precipice.
hours now from the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. So, huzzah. I will
We're on the
pop some
precipice of
bubbly.
maybe some
Yeah.
I sure
horrendousness.
will. I've
but-
got some in the fridge
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah,
So
get excited about it. Yeah.
I am very excited about it tomorrow. Yeah.
Last non-minimum wage topic, masturbation.
Sure.
Sure. All right.
I know we don't
Yeah.
get terribly saucy on this show, but it was mentioned to me
Yeah.
recently, and something I didn't realize was that one of the tenets of a lot of these various groups who showed up at the Capitol, Proud Boys and QAnon, and various other groups, is that they tell their adherents not to masturbate. And it's a religious thing too, like no masturbation. And so you've got these like bunch of white guys standing around angry as hell. It's like,
disaffected white guys.
no wonder they're
You guys-
angry.
yeah, you guys need more time for yourselves. It sounds like.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that actually closes a lot of loops for me. You know what I mean?
Where does this rage come from? Oh,
That-
Oh,
I
That
understand.
connects a lot of dots. Yeah.
Yeah.
That connects a lot of sad dots.
so after this
Yeah.
episode, I would like everyone who's watching to please touch yourself. It's
Yeah,
an important
do it.
part of your daily
on
life.
us.
Again.
On us.
Yeah.
Again, much like the incoming Biden administration. Good for that country. Good for
Yeah.
this whole family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
good
the
for
most
all souls.
patriotic thing you can do today.
Good for the Patriots.
And if you think about us, hey, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
All right.
Let us know. Which one of us? Which
Yeah.
one of us is
Well,
it?
I mean, you know.
Specify. Because it better be me.
Yikes.
Okay. All right. So, minimum wage. The current federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. 29 states plus DC all have a higher minimum wage than that. So, there's like, the rest of that. 21 states
Yeah.
who use the federal minimum wage as their minimum wage. Thoughts just on that number to start?
It's $7.25, right? That's the minimum
Yes, that
federal
is the
minimum
current
wage.
federal minimum wage.
That's not great.
I
not
recently now I know I live in a state that has a higher one. However, I recently purchased milk from a store, just a regular old grocery store, and it was $3.50 basically. And thinking to myself, so this is a half an hour of wage for this gallon.
I mean,
of milk
before taxes.
before taxes. So I'm thinking that's too low.
Yeah.
That's not enough
That's
money to
too
live on.
damn low. That's not enough money to live on, guys. When milk's $3.50 a gallon, the minimum wage should be higher. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the
That's-
federal minimum wage has not moved in 12 years. We've had,
Astounding considering the inflation.
we've had inflation. We've had various things just go up in price because they do, because they want to make more money or whatever, random reason. But 12
Yeah.
years, no increase is nuts. They talk about wage stagnation for the middle class, which has also been an issue over the last, decade, but just not even moving that livable wage, what the bar is so that someone can work an essential job and still put food on their family,
Yeah.
So built into the current COVID legislation, relief package that Biden is trafficking around right now, is a federal increase to $15 an hour.
Yep.
That is built into
One that was highly touted by Bernie Sanders for
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Every year that they don't pass it, they did the math on that in the last election cycle, that the federal minimum wage should be $15 an hour. Now it's been 4 years.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you don't get zero in your savings account if you were to put $15 in a savings account 4 years ago. It wouldn't be just $15 today, right?
Right.
So part of that seems like it's not right. Did anybody do the math on what it should be? The answer to that is yes. Based on calculations from the 725 being the original minimum wage 12 years ago, and today, $23 an hour would be what kept up with productivity and inflation, which
Wow.
is, yeah,
Wow.
considerably more.
It's considerably more than 15. I mean, that's the thing that I was thinking about just now too is that like just the difference in the cost of like an iPhone, you know, how it's like $1,000 to buy an iPhone now.
Mhm.
Like just that alone
Yeah.
in terms of minimum
Well, I
wage
just
is
think of
silly to
rent.
me.
I mean, my gosh, look what we were
Well,
paying
yeah,
rent
that too.
12. I think about what my, crappy apartment I was most likely living in 12 years ago was, and what the rent I paid on that shit apartment, and how much that rent on that shit apartment is now. And now someone is in that apartment working a shitty job like I had,
Yeah.
making $7 an hour.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
it's
But
gone
the
up.
rent's gone up, but that minimum wage shit job sure hasn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are we
It's
asking
nuts.
of these people?
It was originally set up, the idea was that it would be a livable wage, and that
Yeah.
because the free market does not care if you're, you know, being able to live off of
Yeah.
$40 or 40 hours a week,
Well,
work week.
as Steve would say,
They don't care if you die.
Yeah,
they don't.
they don't. And
They
the free
don't.
market is the idea is they get the labor for as low as they possibly can, and then sell their goods for as high as they possibly can, and the in between number is profit, right? But the whole reason we have a
Right.
minimum wage is to, again, have a bottom, have a place where this
Right.
you can live doing your shit job, because we
Yeah.
need you to. And I've done plenty in my lifetime, and I was not, I
Yeah.
didn't get $15 an hour. I've worked for $4.25 an hour.
Yeah.
A lot less.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to get a hamburger for a nickel.
Right. Well, there's something you said that I think is really one of my big kind of cornerstones of my philosophy when it comes to how communities should take care of each other, and that is there should not be a bottom that people can sink below. Or we need to have that bottom there. Essentially, there needs to be a bottom that people can't get below.
Yeah.
As a society, that needs to exist. The bottom needs to exist, and for to hear some of these people, and I'm just going to say it, Republicans in a lot of cases, a lot of GOP, to hear them talk, you're just thinking, is there just no human decency in you at this point? They just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
That
they really
what
don't.
these people have
It's
to
because
live with.
I feel like they
man.
think that there shouldn't be. I think that's really where it comes from. Is they don't feel like there should be a bottom level. They feel like you can just die.
Yeah. Well, and it's always
there's no floor.
a lot of the
Yeah.
answers are, get a better job, and it's like, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with someone who wants to be, sandwich artist for their entire life. Why should that person
Nor
live
do
in
I.
abject
Yeah.
poverty? Because they can make a really good meatball sub. I would
Yeah,
think.
it seems like we need those folks too. It's not like we're lacking for spots for people that just do the base level jobs. And
Yeah.
like just grocery store workers. Like why don't we have we should pay those folks enough to do that job? It's important.
Yeah.
Everyone uses the grocery store. I just it seems common
Yeah.
sense to me, but
Yeah.
I guess
It's something
hate
that
people.
this, I think, pandemic has hopefully exposed to a lot of people in really defining the term essential worker. Because pre-2020, if you ask someone on the street, what do you consider an essential job? They'd be like, fire department, hospital, police officer. It's like, no, do you want to know what an essential job is? Fucking Wendy's. That's the society we live in. We need that, okay? Essential job, the grocery store on the corner, that liquor store on the corner. Essential to our
We
society.
started on the liquor store. Yes.
Right. But you know what I mean? Before the pandemic, a lot of people wouldn't define those as essential. So it's hoping that there's at least in some people, especially in some lawmakers, a redefining of that and seeing that, while these may seem to be unambitious pursuits, these people have families, they have kids, they have lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They deserve a livable wage, and the federal minimum is not livable. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah. Well, and BT Dubs at $15 an hour, that's $30,000 a year before taxes. So
right. So let's not get all hopped up like that's a lot.
Yeah, it's not like you're suddenly living high on the hog or anything. I mean,
No.
and every single dollar
Again,
of that gets
livable.
recycled back through the economy. And most of the
Yeah.
arguments that I've heard against raising the minimum wage have been like, but what about the billionaires and millionaires?
Yeah, what about the CEOs of these companies? What about the
Right.
money that they have?
Yeah, to which I
What
say,
about them? That
what
money should
about
just be
them?
doing this anyway. Should
They're
be doing
gonna
this.
be
Exactly.
Should be doing
fine.
this.
I
Yeah.
I answer your question with another question.
Yeah.
What about them?
What about them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be fine. The amount of there's a lot of talk of whether or not small businesses can afford to pay that or not, and it's like
Yeah.
ultimately you find a way, and sometimes it means raising some prices or whatever. But for the most part, the math supports that this would not be a huge increase in everything economy
Yeah.
wide. You may just have to weight it a little differently. Um, I wrote this down. From 1978 to now, CEO pay has gone up 1,000%. Workers' pay has gone up 12%.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right
Yep.
based on the
I
way that
would
we do
say
things.
Average
sounds on brand.
CEO right now makes 278 times the average worker.
Oh, sounds about right based on how we do it.
Sounds very proportionate to our society. Yeah.
Yeah, we are number one in the world, in the civilized world, as far as that ratio. Um,
Disproportionate
yeah, we pay
Wealth
more,
or
wages.
way,
that's
way,
Yeah.
way, way more to our CEOs than we pay to our workers, the people who are
Yeah.
actually doing the work every day.
Mhm.
I think
And
that a lot of that comes from just like the way that people. I feel like it's been part of the way that we've conditioned ourselves to feel about people as like Americans, you know? I feel like there's a huge lack of cooperation amongst Americans. I feel like most Americans see everybody around them as competition in some way. I think that's a really terrible way of doing things in a lot of ways, you know? I feel like it creates that environment where no, I'll just take the money and these people make whatever the government decides they make and I'll move on with my life and go enjoy my, my lavish lifestyle.
Island.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just yeah,
Then
my
I get
my
on
whole house.
Facebook and rail about the yacht tax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's ravaging my savings.
we
I
uh
just yeah.
we hit that theme pretty hard almost every episode, and it seems to come back to the individualism of our society. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
just
Sure.
we're all out for ourselves. How about a little bit of empathy?
Yeah, we're past that point, folks. Individualism works
Mhm.
great when you're fighting in a like survival situation. Like yeah, if it's you and a guy running away from a bear, just outrun that guy. But in terms of like America
Right.
as like a society, we're here to structure and house people and grow and all that stuff, and it's hard to do that if we're all just like trying to outrun the bear.
Yeah.
Let's all
Well,
fight the bear together. Is what I'm saying.
right. Well, I think another facet to this too is not just obviously the disproportionate wages, but also for companies to pay such ridiculous amounts to managers, essentially, to supervision. It's just like at the end of the day, these people in a lot of cases are not, actually in probably every case, are not worth what you're paying them. Like I
Yeah.
think of it in a lot of ways. Like you think of I don't know, if you're a sports fan, for example, and you're watching your favorite team in the off season drop a max contract on a guy that isn't gonna produce what that dollar amount is worth. And I know there's other things wrapped in that with marketing, things like that. But you look at a max contract and you're thinking, there's no way in hell a guy is worth $45 million a year to throw a ball. Like that doesn't make any sense. But I feel the same way about CEOs and all those. I'm like, look, we need a supervisor here. We need someone at the top, but there's no way they're worth that much money. Your workers that are actually doing the work are worth way more than that one guy. And I think that's been proven time and time again, that the actual work being done and the workers that are actually doing the work are worth more than the one guy or
Yeah.
this group of people in
That's
a
the
wood
reason
panel
strikes work.
office.
That's the reason strikes work so
Yeah.
effectively, because your workforce just
Yeah.
bails on you, and you're like, well, I can't pay myself the amount of money I want to pay myself because I don't have any money because nobody's running my business for me.
Right.
It's
I
like,
hate
Well,
to.
that's why, of course, there's unions, which
I
of
was
course
about to
could be
say
a
that.
whole other episode, which I know we'd have to bring Steve in for that.
I hate to tout
Um,
unions without Steve here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we don't want to. Yeah, so I don't want to go too deep into that because, of course, that presents a whole other set of problems. But which we could go into in a union episode. But it makes you kind of acknowledge the discrepancy there. That it's like beyond the humanity of it, it's just bad business. Why are you paying someone that much money to do a job that virtually anybody can do?
Yeah.
In some cases,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
there's you know there's a lot to being a CEO, and you have to worry about stock price and
Yeah.
direction of the company and all that kind of thing. But yes, I mean there is also the value of any given worker is more than you're paying them in general.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to watch Katie Porter, Congresswoman from California, take a big pharma CEO to task about his bonuses.
It's
Basically,
brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, basically their company was just raising the price of diabetes medication, not related
Hmm.
to any improvements in the medication, not related to inflation. It ended up being just way, way more expensive because they
Hmm.
made more money, so that he got his multi-million-dollar bonus
Yep.
on the backs of people with diabetes. I mean, what?
Yeah.
That's just awful. I mean, that is the kind of
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that's why we have
That's
government.
special room in hell type of
Yeah.
situation. Like if you're the type that believes in a place like that, I have family members that have diabetes. Special room in hell for guys like that, if
You
that's a
just pick
thing.
up the
I was
Because
waiting for
python.
you to finish. I was like, special room in hell for people with diabetes.
yeah,
Just
Yeah.
really sticking it to
Diabetics.
people with diabetics this
Yeah.
episode.
we're actually very anti them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LWD is
So,
very
Strangely,
anti-diabetes
yeah.
and
it's a strange
anti-diabetics.
thing.
Right. Anti-diabetes and then anybody with diabetes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a
Both
weird
of
We
take.
them.
hate the disease so much that
We
Anyone who
hate
carries
people
it.
that have it.
It's hated by yeah,
Yeah.
association.
admire our passion, but yeah,
Yeah, because that's one of the
yeah,
things too with
terrible.
big pharma and stuff is that I feel like raising your minimum wage in general. I mean, not that I guess pharmaceutical companies. I kind of want them to just be not a thing in general outside of like government oversight. That's my personal take on that. But it seems
Just
like if you can I know, right? What's socialism?
I'm pro big
Uh,
pharma.
but like the yeah, uh, it raising that just standard for folks and putting those limitations, I think, on the people at the top too. Not just like putting limitations in the sense that they have to pay more for the people that work for them. I think I hope, I guess, is really what it is, that it makes them value their workers more. You know, I feel like having like on an individual, if you're spending more money on them, there's just like a level of care there that's more. I don't know that that's true. But I
Sadly, I
hope
feel
that
like
it is.
yeah.
You know?
Sadly, I feel like it would almost have an opposite effect. I feel like if
Yeah.
if companies get strong armed into paying their workers more, there's going to be subtle retaliation that won't be able to be viewed on paper, but it'll
Mm.
exist because they'll feel that. But at the same time, I think that part of it is not even so much the money. It's kind of like something that I know Andrew touched on in a previous episode where some of the people opposed to the stimulus, it's like they're so concerned about people not deserving it somehow getting it. Like this money's going to end up in the pockets of someone that doesn't deserve it. But when you look at the actual numbers, we're talking pennies in comparison to the billions and the trillions. So it's like, in the end, are we really that concerned if someone ends up with a stimulus that doesn't necessarily need the stimulus, as long as everyone that needs help is getting the help? That's kind of a
Because
sentiment
it's
I think that
yeah.
can be applied here,
Stimulus,
where
welfare,
yeah,
vaccine,
yeah,
minimum wage. Spend
yes,
so
Yes.
much time and money and effort making sure that someone in your mind that you can think of even
Yeah.
doesn't get it because they don't deserve help.
deserve it, right?
They
Because
haven't
for
And I'm not
some
earned
reason,
saying,
help.
and we're not saying that we don't
yeah,
know people like that,
Oh, I know people like
that
that.
suck and that siphon off of,
Sure.
government money
yeah.
and whatever. But again, it's just so worth the people that need it.
Well, especially
You
when we're
know?
talking minimum wage increase, we're not even talking free money. This is still
Exactly.
earned money.
This is money you have to work for
it's,
still.
just, it's just saying that everyone deserves that livable wage. And for me, it's the mental gymnastic it takes to look at a number like 7.25 an hour and say, hey, look, man, it's minimum wage. It's supposed to be small. You want to make more money, get a job. It's like the actual mental gymnastics you're doing right now to basically say that you're not telling those people to fuck off and it sucks to
Yeah.
suck and I don't care if you die, like, is astounding to me. Because 7.25 is not a livable wage. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So,
It really is.
that's not true.
Yeah, it's not something that maybe you have 12 roommates in a studio or something. Like I don't know your
Right.
living
What are you talking
conditions to
about
live
here?
off
Yeah.
of 7.25 an hour. You work an extra 10 hours of overtime every week.
Usually
You
people
know,
have two jobs. I think it's
Yeah.
usually the way
yeah,
people look
yeah,
at that is they just have
Mm,
two minimum wage jobs so they can make less
yeah.
than 15 bucks an hour still.
But hey, if
14,
they want to get out of
15.
there, they can go to school, man.
yeah.
They can get a better job.
Oh,
Saw
I
that
have the
argument all
ambition.
over the place today.
I had the drive. I've had the ambition. No one handed me anything. I went to school. They can too. It's like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
Seriously.
You know
yeah.
what's something about
Agreed.
school? That's it's you should take into account when you're making those arguments. It's expensive.
Mm,
Still
Yeah,
expensive. It's an expensive thing.
way
So
expensive. Yeah.
yeah.
way
And
expensive.
when you're going to school, you're not earning even your minimum wage
No,
job.
you're not.
You're,
Yeah.
you're going to school.
I was recently playing a game of Quiplash with some friends on Jackbox. If you ever played, super
Nice.
fun. And one of the prompts was a somber valedictorian speech theme that wouldn't go over well or something. And someone we were playing with put, "Student debt will ruin your life." It's like that's
Yeah.
not something you definitely want, but it's an important thing to know when you go out into the college world, is that
Yep.
student debt will ruin your
Just
life.
FYI, you are starting way behind the eight ball here.
Way behind.
Congratulations, graduates. Now, good luck
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
paying off the soul-crushing debt you've just established over the last 4
yeah,
years or 5 years.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because our society has convinced you that this is the only way to not end up making that $7.25 an hour, which is a livable wage, by the way, and nothing to sneeze at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with no experience on your resume, you're still going to have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
You know,
Because it's either you work,
Yeah.
because it's either you work that 725 or you go hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt
Yeah,
to work for
Or
maybe more than
both.
that, or do both.
Both.
As some people do.
or both. Yeah.
all right. Well, it looks like this $15 an hour thing is going to be a thing, and I hope that they do a good job of tracking the numbers, job loss related to it if there is any, CEO compensation changes if there are any. I'd like to see all of the metrics. From what I've read in countries that have done this, yeah, the numbers support, maybe paying your top people less and paying your bottom people more. And for me, that sounds like a good idea. The standard of living difference between somebody who makes $10 million and somebody who makes $15 million is not huge. It's
Right.
just not.
Just not.
And
yeah.
that $5 million can go a long way towards raising everybody else up.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so-
because the proportion, because like that difference, obviously, not much there, but the massive difference between someone making $9 an hour, $8 an hour, and now making $15, $16, $17 an
yeah,
hour
for them, is enormous.
for a low employee, that is an enormous increase.
Yeah.
That is everything.
Yeah, the math I was doing there is,
Yeah.
That's $15,000 more a year, a little more than that, for every one of those minimum wage employees, right? You have to stack a ton of those up to get to
Right.
$5 million
Yeah.
a year.
And where do you and like you said earlier, where do you think that money's going to go? Right back into our system,
Right
because
back into the economy.
because everyone that makes $15 an hour, that's what they're spending their money on.
Yep.
They're not spending on anything else. They're spending it on our economy.
And they're not hoarding it
because
to make
that's-
more millions.
Yeah, that's all they got. So
They-
it's going
yeah.
right back in. It's paying their bills. It's buying their groceries. It's going to restaurants. It's renting movies. It's exactly where it's all going. Because
Yeah.
I've been the $15 an hour guy. That's where it all goes.
Yeah.
It
think,
goes straight back in.
I think that
all go.
everyone who's so cavalier online about people getting better jobs should say that to all the people that they come in contact with all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the number of
Every
people that you come in
person.
contact with who are doing those jobs that you're talking about.
Your fast food workers, your grocery store employees, if you run into those people,
Yeah.
just tell them to get a better job.
You're gonna
right?
get
That's
one of
what-
those
that's your
Fight
fine.
Club bathroom scenes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey,
Yeah.
minimum wage looks like it's gonna be going up to $15 an hour. I would like to drop a quick apology to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We were not able to work her in here, and she was really passionate about the $15 an hour thing or
Yeah.
more.
Well, she's on board with it. We know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
she would be too, as a
Yeah.
Bernie supporter.
And
That's
I'm
her
giving
whole
it,
leg.
personally, I give it 5 figs. I'd give more. If
5
we had more,
figs for the
'cause-
minimum wage. I'm going to go 4 just because it still seems like not enough. I know it's a huge difference. It's like we're doubling it, right? But
Okay.
it just seems like not
Right.
enough. So I'm going to go 4.
I agree. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can work on that. 4 figs again. Again, you talk me into or out of a fig every time. You either talk me into 1 or talk me down to 4. I don't know how this is possible. Every episode. I'm
Talk
forced
you
out
out of
of
your
5.
figs. From now on, Jared says the figs first.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I go first now.
Start with Jared's
My
figs.
mind.
And then
halfway
we
through the
talk you
figs.
out of it.
Yeah, then you talk me out of it still,
My
and I have to
figs.
change my mind.
All right, subscribe to us here on
figs.
YouTube, like us over there on Facebook, and definitely follow us on Twitter. We are a live show every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Good night, everyone.